This is Thea Duskin starting in, well, like a minute. I'm just checking to make sure that's working in all these places here. And I will hop on. Just want to check real thing. Thanks for tuning in. Now's a good time to let me know if you hear me, I suppose, in the chat room here. I'm just making sure. Oh, look at that. Interesting. Vimeo destinations. Oh, I see. Oh, no. Oh, fuck you. Well, good to know. Okay. So I'm going to be copying and pasting some links over to the place here. Give me just a second here to copy over and we will be getting started. I want to make sure that people on Thea's Facebook get a chance to check out the show. Okay, look at this. What's on your mind live now? Thea Duskin. Very excited for this interview. Okay, posting up. I'm gonna post this shit on tattoos.com too. And then, we will get ready to get started. If you let me know in the chat room where you're beaming in from, that'd be cool. Tag somebody that knows Thea. Thea Duskin live now. Boom. Okay, mixing it up. Here we go. Thank you for tuning in. Looks like we've got some people in the various places. And well, no time like the present. Okay. Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where tattooers, collectors, apprentices, and the curious are all encouraged to share with each other, to learn, to inspire each other, and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. This is the Tattoo Now show with special guest Thea Duskin. And so after I give you a bit of an introduction to the Reinventing the Tattoo Community and some of the upcoming events, then instead of going away like I usually do, I will be actually asking Thea some questions. Okay, so this is, like I said, the Guy Aitchison's Reinventing Community. You might be beaming in from YouTube or Facebook. You might be watching the replays in the podcast store, but no matter where, unless you're listening or watching from the Reinventing the Tattoo app, then you're at one of our extra places. You want to go to either of the app stores, download Reinventing the Tattoo, and yeah, then you'll have access to all of the past shows, as well as the schedule for all of the upcoming events. And there's a ton of them. I'll talk about them in a second. So if this is working for you, this is a great time to let us know in the comments. If you have any friends or family that love tattoos or Thea's art, then give them a tag, give it a share. It's actually how we are able to grow the audience and get enough people looking at all these amazing tattooers that we have. All of the Reinventing the Tattoo Network shows, the art jams, the drawing groups, the interviews, the panels, the webinars. Seriously, there's so many different activities. They can all be found on demand in the library, as well as the YouTube channel or the podcast channel. You could always, if you don't really know like all these things to start with, if you're just looking for a place to start, or you want to recommend some friends start somewhere and you're not quite sure where, because we have like 7 shows and 6 months of replays, at any time you can go to Reinventing 24/7. You know what? I'm actually going to fire it up here. Reinventing 24/7, where you will always have like 5 channels of reinventing going at any given time. We have sample packs of Cheyenne cartridges and raw pigments. So if you're a tattooer, this is great. Then you go to Reinventing 24/7, then not only do you get to check out all of the awesome shows, but if you scroll down to the bottom, then it will it has a form where you can let us know your tattoo shop address, and then we'll send you a goodie bag. Here, you know what? Let me fire up a screenshot here so you can see it real quick. I don't want to take too much time, but it's pretty sweet. Oh, wait, this is funny. You're going to see me because this is the show that we're watching here. But so you can see here, I've got Old Fashioned Rebel, an interview with Paul Talbot. is playing. We've got one of the Reinventing Drawing groups with Jake Meeks, the art jams, the basics of landscape painting. So this is a replay of Guy Aitchison and Nick Baxter doing some landscape painting. The Tattoo Collecting podcast. If you click on page 2, we even have our global channel going at any given time. So this is Hablamos de Arte con Bruno. It's a Spanish art jam that we have pretty frequently. So that is Reinventing 24/7. If you don't know where to start, or if it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, you can just go there, and at any given time, we've got 5 channels of awesome entertainment, awesome tattoo entertainment. It literally is like a tattoo network. Okay, so I'm going to talk to, I'm going to let you know about our weekly shows. We have like 5 or 6 weekly shows that are free thanks to our awesome sponsors we'll talk about. Let's see, Sundays at 1 p.m. is a Reinventing Drawing group with Jason Leeser. For all of these drawing groups, artists are encouraged to beam in. So if you go to that app, you click events, there's an artist Zoom in link. Click on it. You have to have your Zoom set up. But boom, all of a sudden you're beaming in and getting critiqued and bouncing ideas around with other artists. Okay, so 1 p.m. on Sundays, Reinventing Drawing groups. 9 p.m. on Sundays is the Tattoo Weekly, hosted by Jake Meeks, Laura Gregory, and me. I'm Gabe Ripley, by the way. And we go over the highlights from the previous weeks from all of our networks. We talk about upcoming events. Usually we'll dive deep in. And actually, for the rest of September, it's pretty exciting. Guy Aitchison will be interviewing people from the South Pacific because they're all in lockdown. And then I'll talk more about our South Pacific lockdown escape after. So 9 o'clock on Sundays, the Tattoo Weekly. For the rest of this month, Guy Aitchison is going to be doing the interviews for the last half hour. On Mondays at 9 a.m. is the Early Bird Drawing group to start your week off right with Kier. 9 p.m. is a subscribers exercise with Guy Aitchison himself that is only for paid subscribers, but it is well worth it. It's like less than $1 a day. And yeah, every week you get to do exercises with Guy. It's out of control. People are getting really fucking good. It's out of control. I mean, imagine how you might advance your art if you were drawing with Guy once a week. It's you definitely can find the time. Anyways, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. is a drawing group with Ricardo S. Wednesdays at 12 noon is this show, the Tattoo Now show. We get a little bit more geeky and businessy, although pretty artsy. And we've got Thursdays at 12 noon is the Tattoo Collecting podcast with Fawn Baker and Jordan Brookus. And then Thursdays at 10 a.m., I got to change this around in the order a little bit. I always see that I have to change the order when I'm in the middle of doing a live presentation. Anyways, Thursdays at 10 o'clock in the morning, here's doing a fundamentals group exercise. So apprentices and younger tattooers, if you're intimidated to beam in with Guy, you shouldn't be, but if you are, the Thursday 10 o'clock is again, it's fundamentals, a lot of apprentices and whatnot. Special upcoming events we have for the rest of September on Sundays at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So it's like noon on Mondays over in the South Pacific, depending on Australia, Korea, or wherever you might be. But it's the South Pacific Lockdown Escape. It's a virtual event. The Inglorious Hoko and Adrian Dominic have been beaming in. I think actually Evan Griffiths beamed in. We've got a lot of awesome tattooers in the chat rooms. And then again, people are beaming in. So every Sunday, 10 o'clock. And these are group activities. So you could actually beam in and join with amazing artists from the South Pacific. Everyone's getting together, and again, it's not like getting together in person, but having group art jams is actually pretty fun. Okay, a couple ways to support the show. Real world events. We've got the Paradise BYOB, October 3rd to the 6th, paradisebyob.com. It is not a tattoo convention. It's not an art retreat. It's like a lot of people coming out to do seminars, take seminars, and webcast all of these different reinventing shows, critiques. We have academic panels. It's pretty cool. We're really kicking things up a little. Well, we're being very creative. Well, so less people, we're beaming out worldwide, and it's going to be a lot of fun. paradisebyob.com. November 12th to the 14th is the Brussels Tattoo Convention. And so far, it does seem like airplanes are not a massive source of infections. So we'll see. Pandemic pending, we'll be over there with a full reinventing event, the Brussels Tattoo Convention. February 5th to the 6th is a reinventing live over at the Red Tree Tattoo Studio in the True Tubes compound over at Durbs in Columbus, Ohio. So you can go to Red Tree Tattoo for more info on that on the way. May 20th to 22nd is Hell City Columbus, hellcity.com. July 8th to the 10th is the Rock River Tattoo Art Expo near Chicago. tattooartexpo.com. I was wicked excited to register that. tattooartexpo.com. And then October 20th to 23rd is the full Paradise Tattoo Gathering. Let's see here. I'm just double checking to make sure that this is going off. Okay, it looks like it is. I apologize. I'm both teching and hosting and interviewing. Woohoo! Down here, okay, this is probably the most important part, right? Because these are our sponsors, and they help put all the equipment together and make this happen. And if you're interested in sponsoring any of these amazing shows, give us an email. support@reinventingthetattoo.com. Okay, so how do you support the show? First of all, courses.reinventingthetattoo.com, or just Reinventing the Tattoo, is a great resource for professional development, online classes. You can't learn how to tattoo there, but you can learn how to tattoo better. It's got the Reinventing the Tattoo canon, as well as seminars from Andre Malcolm. Bob Tyrell's got an 11-hour one. DJ Betts is on there, and a whole mess of virtual Paradise BYOB events are there. So check it out, courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. Interstate Inc. LA. Church is an amazing realist who's set up camp out there, and it is a clean and sober shop, very supportive of a recovery lifestyle. If you are in recovery and are looking for a supportive spot to tattoo or to get tattooed, Interstate Inc. LA on the Instagram, or if you know somebody, it's an awesome spot, and he does amazing shoes. The video I did was, well, it was kind of cheesy. It was like a kicking it with church, but he does all these sneakers and stuff. They're realistic. They're awesome. InkjetStencils.com has been a great supporter of the Reinvented community from the very beginning of it, when we started this up like a year ago. And yeah, InkjetStencils.com. You'll see a lot of videos. They have paper and inks, so that allow you to do your tattoo reference on your computer, and then you print it out of your printer. It's crazy. It saves your hands a little bit of strain, saves you a little bit of dough. Let's see, rawpigments.co is acrylic-free inks, so they don't dry out in the cup, and they are vegan-friendly. Check it out, rawpigments.co, or if you go to reinventing247.com, scroll down to the bottom, you can fill out that form for those samples. And worldtattooevents.com, the largest, most comprehensive site for tattoo convention and tattoo convention information. DLize Pro in the United States, known worldwide as Dermalize, is a healing wrap. It's designed specifically to heal wounds. If you're still wrapping up your tattoos with saran wrap or cling wrap that's not breathable, well, it's literally not breathable, you might try it out. Dermalize Pro, check out their videos. It's great. I've used it myself. TattooNow.com is my business. It's been around. We've been doing technology for tattooers since the mid-90s, like 25 years. And now that Reinventing is getting back together, and I'm working on a lot of Tattoo Now clients, well, I'm kind of accepting new clients, or at least I'm accepting people for a wait list for new websites. Anybody that is a current Tattoo Now client, I am upgrading. And we also do content relationship tools, CRM. I don't know. We're using new tools that are pretty awesome, very geeky. If you have a tattoo studio or an artist and you want to up your business with technology or with some consulting, tattoonow.com, GabeRipley.com. And lastly, I can't wait to get to this interview here. The founder of Reinventing the Tattoo is Guy Aitchison, guyaitchison.com. You probably have heard of him, but if you haven't, you should go right there. Check out his artwork is unbelievable. You can see some of it's in the background here, but tattoos are out of control. But ultimately, when you go to guyaitchison.com, he's got DVDs, he's got machines, and if you're not a tattooer, there's the Biomech Encyclopedia, which is 2 volumes of unbelievable art. Okay, so I am going to not hop in the background because I'm going to stay in the foreground here. Last but not least, if you would please leave your positive reviews on all of the channels, the YouTube or the podcasts or wherever. The positive reviews help. If you have any constructive criticism, or if you want to sponsor or host an event on Reinventing, or bring a Reinventing there, then management@reinventingthetattoo.com. I am asking Thea to unmute and going to gallery mode. Welcome, Thea. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay, I'm a little talked out. That was like 10 minutes straight.
Yeah, that was long. I could talk that long.
Okay, and I don't even really have my interview questions up here in front of me, but let's start off with some real softballs. Actually, we're going to start off with the softest of them. How can people find you? And like, so Give us the vitals. Your name, how long you've been tattooing. Excuse me, the year you started tattooing, what you love about tattooing, and how to find you.
The easiest way to find me is just theaduskin.com. And I'm located in Buffalo, New York. I've been tattooing since '95.
Awesome.
And, what do I love about tattooing? I love everything about tattooing, of course.
You know, clearly there's so many different facets of tattooing that touches our lives and whatnot. Now you also do all sorts of art, right? Like you're doing like performance art and paintings and collages, all sorts of. Well, tell us a little bit about the breadth of your artistic experience.
Yeah, I'm pretty into mixed media in general, ranging all over the place. So I just finished up a show where I was participating in a theater production that they're a non-traditional theater, but they do have a regular venue. But this particular show they do every year at a site. So it's like a site-specific installation show, and it's at a silo city. So it's grain silos.
They're cool. It's a cool place.
They're amazing, and like some of them are still abandoned or sort of halfway abandoned, and then there's actually a few that are being developed now. So it's probably going to change a little bit the character of the place.
You know, when I was over in Europe with Marcus Leonard, we were driving around, and he'd be like, you know, that land there, no one goes there anymore. You know, that's not what he said. He said that's not owned by anybody. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And then he brought us to this place in Berlin that you would absolutely dig it. It's like, again, it's like all these old factory buildings that, again, no one owns. So like all the artists kind of moved in, and I mean, but it's huge. It's like these massive, like probably 100,000 square foot, like factory buildings. And they have like bars and venues and all sorts of artists all over the place, but nobody owns it. It was like a squatter art village right in the heart of Berlin.
Sounds amazing. I know Europe has different squatter laws or something, and people definitely have more takeovers of places, which is like amazing. I wish we had a little bit more of that here, because it's hard to hang on to places like that, even if they do get populated with artists for a while. It tends to. That's
nuts. Well, the silos kind of really reminds me of that, and you said that they're being taken over, so that just reminded me. But so okay, so what's the nature of these shows? So sort of like physical performances, and but you're like creating these environments and.
Yeah, so this particular company is called Torn Space, and they've ranged all through the site. So they've done inside, they've done outside. This year was outside, and last year, of course, because of COVID. So it was nice because we were able to actually do a show during COVID because of the distancing and outside and everything.
Right, yeah. People must have fucking loved that.
Opportunity, yeah, it was awesome. So this, I don't know if you can see it, but that thing is a mask. Wait,
let me.
You want me to bring it close?
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, awesome. And so there's like a couple dozen people that are like creating things like this and roaming around, and you're telling stories.
Sort of. They have collaborating artists, but it's mostly performers, and then they'll have like lighting and sound design. It's a pretty elaborate show, but I was just making a few masks for the piece and like just making some props. My role in this show was a little bit closer to tattooing than it ordinarily would be in a theater production. So I was actually taking people out of the audience. It was separate in a group, so I would take an individual out of each group and kind of lead them away into a secluded area on this path and like sit them down and offer them the choice between some cards, and they had to choose one open envelope, and it had like a tattoo design. It was sort of based on like loosely like henna looking, like all brown monochromatic designs. And then I would blindfold them and tattoo marker, which is like a special kind of Bic marker. They were semi-permanent. Do awesome. The design on them and then reveal it to them. So it was fun. And like the directors, producers of the show, they like to work with people to draw out their individual, personality and skill set, and incorporate that into the show. So it's a really interesting, unusual.
Wow. Well, that's gotta be.
Thing.
Hey,
Yes.
real quick, could you close the window by
Oh
chance?
yeah, I know. It's like
Yeah, it's like a party out there.
crashed
Um,
it.
so I'm going to fire up some of your pictures here. Let's see. There we go.
I don't think I can do it. My window is too.
No worries at all then. Yeah. You might just talk into the phone, right? Because
Sure.
we're running with the headphones. But so here's some of an example of the collage that you sent over. I love this piece, and now you tattooed this too.
I did. So that was quite a big project. So so the more elaborate the collage, the little bit longer the process is for sure. But it was on a good friend of mine, so it was like a pretty fun commitment that we both took on.
All right, cool. Now, like, how many different elements are in here? Or, I mean, not elements, but how many different like mediums? Or talk about it a little bit here, right? Because this is what you'll be helping people through a paradise too.
Yeah, this is a pretty good example of like a mixed media process. So there's like the bird and the painting splash that it's sitting on, like a branch. That's actually I think that's actually acrylic or gouache, I think, actually on mylar, which is a very odd surface to paint on. So it has kind of an interesting, weird quality of that particular paper. And then that's cut out. And then there's a postcard that's like an original, like early 20th century postcard that's cut in the background. And then this other like abstract piece behind the bird is like from a palette of just like incidental watercolor that I cut out. And then the antler is painted. And then some of these leaves, some of these are like Victorian card. These orange blossoms are from a Victorian image, and then some of these other leaves are as well. And then the ones that look like they're stippled are actually from a Virginia battlefield map.
Oh wow!
So
Cool.
So these were the ideas were
Oh,
collaborative. Like so, she gave me some ideas of what she wanted and things that would be relevant to her because she's from Virginia.
Do you remember what those adjectives were by chance?
Well, I'm sorry, what now? Oh, it wasn't so much adjectives. It was specific. Like she wanted it to be relating to where she was from. And I think maps are interesting and it's visually like they translate, in an interesting way.
Sure. I love maps. I mean, I had a shop after maps, right? But so this is cool. So this is the tattoo, and man, that looks great.
Thanks.
And so
you said like a champ, I must say.
Awesome. And for the sake of clients that are wondering about this process, so obviously you said that this is somebody you had a relationship with, so well, I mean, I imagine you clearly give it your all for all of your clients.
Mm-hmm.
But so like, how long did this take? I suppose, I guess, is just a simple question. And did you do anything for the pain tolerance? I know that ribs are real tender.
Yeah, I really do not like the numbing creams. We might have used like a little bit of spray. And then I don't even think that we did, honestly. I try to steer clear of those because they seem to have like a weird effect on the skin. I should know more about exactly medically why it does that, but it seems to make the skin a little bit like rubbery and resistant to absorption, like almost as it gets saturated with the material or something.
Yeah, but, sometimes like a little bit of bacteria or stuff I've seen people work, but for
like
the most
a little
part,
bit of bacteria and sure.
But like that, like, how long are these sessions? Some people are doing like 2 days back to back. Some people do like 3 or 4 hour sessions.
I'm impressed by people who can both sit that long and tattoo that long. I don't usually do back to back sessions like that because it just seems like it's too hard for the person to sit through. I mean, I will if somebody like really wants to, but generally I prefer to layer stuff and have it heal and come back and layer it. So obviously that's, more challenging for people who are traveling. So we try to really like knock out as much as possible in those kind of sessions. Cool. But, it's definitely a process. I mean, I wouldn't start something this big on somebody who wasn't really comfortable, either traveling frequently or who was like local.
Sure. It was, I mean, it's hard to tell if this was her first tattoo, but it seems like it's the only tattoo I can
think
see.
that might have been her first tattoo. She's gotten more work since, and we actually just
Uh-huh.
did a like sort of a half sleeve with a lot of negative space as well
Isn't
on
that
her.
amazing? People are getting this shit as their first tattoo.
I know. Go big or go home.
I love that. I think I spent my first 5 years like testing the waters. I got like all these little small tattoos in these large spaces of skin. So then when I figured it out, I had to go back over it all. It's like, now I got to work in all this tiny little shit that's in the wrong spot.
That's
But this is great. What was your first tattoo?
Oh my God. My first tattoo was, it was on my stomach, which is really inadvisable. And I had researched it for a long time. It's from that, I forget who's the artist. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the artist name. But it's that like really nice like fairy book. It's like the
Freud.
Yeah, I think it's Froud.
Brian
Yeah.
Froud. Brian
Sure,
Froud.
that's who it was. And it was a beautiful design, but you know, it's a bit of a juvenile tattoo as well, but whatever. So I went to Canada, which is right over the 10 minutes from my house growing up in Buffalo. And one of my friends was getting tattooed pretty regularly in Toronto, and she was probably maybe 16, 15. I was 15 as well. And I think it was 16 was the legal age there, but she took me to a place, like my mom was there visiting friends, and I was just like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with my friend for the day. And she took me to this like dungeon themed tattoo place that had fiberglass gargoyles all over the place.
Awesome.
And it was so over the top. It was hilarious. And ceiling mirrors. So I was actually able to watch him tattoo.
Oh, wow.
I was smoking in the chair. I mean, it was
smoking as an underage
for the days, Yeah. And but needless to say, the person who's willing to tattoo someone that young and also as a walk-in
yeah, right,
not the best artist. So he kind of butchered it, and it hurt a lot. And it was supposed to have color in it, and I think I was like, he got the outline done, and I was like, I'm good. Like, let's just leave that alone.
Finish off the experience.
Yeah, that was fine. And it wasn't so horrible, but I ended up covering it up. So that's my Rorschach cover up that I did on myself, because I was pretty reluctant to not only have somebody else tattoo me there, but it took me a long time. I got tattooed a couple times by people, and all the experiences were pretty negative. So I wanted to, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to tattoo myself and to become a tattooer, was so that I could realize the ideas that I had.
Obviously it was a completely different world, in tattooing 25 years ago. Was it like bikers treating women poorly? Was it just treating everybody poorly? Or
I think it was treating everybody poorly, probably. I'm sure there's there's obviously also sexism, but it wasn't. It was a much more closed society, if we could call it that. It was not the same at all. I mean, God, the guy who tattooed me in Toronto was nice enough. Like, it was really a ridiculous situation. But there just really fundamentally weren't a lot of options artistically. And partly because of like small-mindedness, and also because of like it had been relegated to such a small community of people as practitioners for such a long time that they weren't necessarily the most artistic people. It was more of a trade, craftsman playing a trade, and something that was passed down technically. Even sometimes that wasn't all,
right. It was fun. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was just going to say there was a thread that was on one of the forums where someone was like, it was like a younger woman who was looking over the shoulder of her friend getting tattooed, and the tattooer was like, you don't need to know how to draw the tattoo. And my instinctual reaction, I mean, me, like I'm hanging out with like arty types like all day long, and I love walk-ins, and I love script. I mean, and I'm an advocate. If somebody wants faith upside down on their wrist, then fucking give them a really awesome faith upside down on the wrist, and let them know where to come back to get it covered later.
Absolutely, but it's your body, and like you should get whatever you want on it, of course. But but there should be options. I mean, that should be the goal. Is like art is an extremely broad concept. Like it shouldn't be limited, to any one subjective preference, I think. So.
Oh, agreed. And I do think that that is busting wide open. I'm on the like the Google news feed, so that it sends me all the headlines for tattoos. And now certainly like the most like, celebrity, stupid celebrity tattoos and tattoos that get people caught for crimes, are the most of the headlines. But at least twice a week now, there's a shop that's opened up by either a woman or LGBTQ plus that's specifically creating a space that is comfortable for them and their culture and for other people other than and obviously it's not just heavy metal shops and biker shops anymore, but it is really encouraging to see how everyone can use tattooing to enable themselves with art.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's fantastic. And I mean, I want everybody to have their own comfortable niche, That's what's so cool about it. It's such an individual expression. And it's an ancient art form that is like, universally practiced pretty much among humans. So
I appreciate the fact that those mummies were found with tattoos and cannabis buried with them.
Right.
But let's fire up. We do actually. It'll be exciting. You'll be happy. We have some real awesome academics coming to the BYOB.
Cool. Wow.
And there's one panel that's on Wednesday that it's like an all-star academic panel. It's probably one of the most knowledgeable tattoo panels that exists, like just because they're all fucking professors that study this shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. So I'm gonna fire off some of these tattoos here, and I do actually, I realized I do have some questions in my script here, and I might as well as ask them. So we haven't really talked about some of those, some of your art inspirations, and as you were saying, when you were starting off tattooing, there weren't a ton of options. There weren't too many people. Were there some people that stood out back then that care to let us know about? Or
there were definitely people who were pushing boundaries in different ways. I wouldn't say there was someone who was doing exactly what I wanted to do myself, which is why I wanted to do it, right? But I mean, Guy obviously was like an early inspiration and definitely a source of education, which was really a lucky break for when I was getting into it, that he was like starting to really push in a direction that was not traditional.
Sure.
Yeah.
He took a lot of heat for that too, eh?
I'm sure he did. Yeah. And that was a real thing back then. And even up till quite recently, if not still to this day, there's a ton of pushback on unorthodox tattooing, which is kind of silly to even call it that because it's only unorthodox within this country, and a specific set of a specific paradigm, so whatever, right? But
I love that. Actually, it's one of the reasons I love the Castro, the Live in the Castro. It's like the LGBTQ plus. It's almost like somehow inside of this tattoo world, it's all about not giving a fuck and being exactly who you want to be, and literally changing your body to be who you want to be and to bring this all out. Like they're like they're like the rebels inside of that. As far as some of the old school bikery types might be concerned, and it's fun. It's fun to be like the rebels inside of the rebels. I mean, I imagine it's better to be accepted, but
well, it's easier to be accepted. But I don't know if it's better because I think it's what it's character building, right? To have to suffer adversity. But I mean, I don't know. I think it helps you to be independent and think differently. And I don't know. You're only going to innovate if you're forced to. I mean, that's the thing about traditional stuff. I mean, it can be great, but a lot of it is repetitive. And it's not innovating by definition. So,
I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? Like, and the more of the traditional people, like that's not their intention, right? Their intention is to do the best, right. Tattoo, and technically, it's way hard. It is harder, right? Because if you fuck up that line or you blow it out, like you're not shading up to it, you're not like working around it, like that. That if that nose is like a straight black line, or then you don't fuck it up. If you're shading around or whatever, but
it's not as.
But a lot of tattoo clients don't want innovation, right? So that's the beauty of it. And but what they want is a clean, awesome tattoo.
Right. I mean, I remember. I mean, that was the whole point of a flash shop back in the day. Was like people coming in picking, a lot of time it would be people wanting the same designs so many times that you would just have a flash sheet of it. Because why would you draw times, I'd have people come in wanting that flash that they saw at the beach, that, wondering if you had that particular design kind of thing. I mean, that was really the most common application. So
I always, I hate making jokes at a client's expense, but I do always laugh when people are like, sorry, out of stars today.
no, there's some great
Hold on.
jokes,
No more watches.
I mean, when you've done something hundreds of times, it just gets, you have to start making jokes about it, because
sure, that's pretty fun. It's crazy. So let's see. What about some of your inspiring clients? Do you have any particular clients who have inspiring stories to tell about their transformation with tattooing?
Yeah,
I should probably prep people with questions like this.
I'm sure. I feel like, that's probably a better question for the individual. It's harder to answer that question, as far as like, I'm not exactly sure how tattooing has affected them transformatively. But I mean, I'm sure that, from what people have told me, I'm sure that like some of the stuff that is most impactful would be like either cover-ups, like reworks of, tattoos that people were less happy with, or scar, reworking. That type of stuff, I think, is like pretty significant.
People are very appreciative. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you do cover-ups then? And are there any particular types of, obviously we could tell from your style, but I guess what's your perfect client, or what's that experience like?
I have a lot of great clients, so I don't know if there's a perfect one, because I appreciate the individuality of people, and that's kind of what they bring, is different ideas. And obviously people being open-minded and trusting is really important, because there's a lot you have to kind of let go of in the process. Mm-hmm. Even if you are fairly specific about what you want, it somehow is never exactly, you still cannot anticipate what it's going to look like once it's on you, whether that's even like seeing final artwork, or even seeing the artwork translated onto you is always a leap of, that you can't really imagine until it's there.
But isn't at the base, really, like most clients and most ideas, and myself included, when I present my idea, none of the tattoos ever really, with the exception of the photorealism, never looked like what I was imagining in my head. And as a non-artist, like it's almost impossible for me to like figure out what would look best. I'm not an artist. And,
even as the artist, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like until it's on a person. Like, and I'll typically do things in pieces so that they're more malleable. Like, I try to keep things a little bit more fluid, unless I'm doing like a flash or something that is like, I am doing this painting and it is done and you want this. If I'm working with somebody, I usually try to actually give them a pretty good amount of flexibility as far as like design elements or things we could use, because that's another thing. You sometimes end up with too much to fit, or not. You need more to like fill in. So it's always open-ended until you're actually putting stuff places, and even like where you want to place something. Like, I like to have things, like I said, in pieces, so that you can actually place the final composition is determined on the spot, where you're like putting the main elements at the best places on the body, so that they contour more appropriately and they don't just like go on there like a sticker.
It was fun. I don't usually talk about my family much when I'm on here. Hold on, how do I do this? I think I fucked up my screen here a second. Did I? Sorry, give me 2 seconds to get my control back here. Oh, I'm screen sharing. That's why it's crazy. But yeah, when my daughter came out to get tattooed by you not too long ago, it was fun because, I'm, been in tattoo world 25 years, and I'm opinionated. Like, it's not like I'm not known for having opinions. I got opinions about everything. And, but it was funny then, and my wife, is very smart. She's been around tattoos, since before she met me over 23 years ago. She was into tattoos before me. And but everyone was like, Gabe, you gotta just let go. And I'm like, okay, no problems. And then to your point about the process of of like placement and whatnot, and how it's very fluid. When you walked out of the room there, and I don't know if it was, I think it was probably Cecilia or whatever. She's like, I was thinking about maybe putting it right on my chest. I'm like,
Right.
what? But I held my tongue. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to go through this decision-making process. I'm sure it's gonna end up exactly where it needs to be, which I was not imagining being there, but you know.
Right.
And then Kim was like, right off the bat, no fucking way. I'm like, whoa. She was like, wait, I can't believe that came out of my mouth. But it was, I mean, you know, for, you know, I'm all for people diving right in, but that would have been a pretty bold move, you know, but she found the right spot for it. And, but it was good. Again, but part of those decisions have to kind of come from the client, right? Because if, you know, she got it on her back, but she was still envisioning it really on her chest, it wouldn't have been the right, she would have been regretting it potentially for the rest of her life.
Absolutely. Like, no, I do not want anyone to get anything that they're going to regret. Like, it's great that tattoo removal is, you know, an option. It's, you know, getting better. It's still not perfect. It's not like taking a piercing out. And even then you're going to have a scar, you know, but yeah, I'm definitely, I prefer like a light touch with that stuff, like, and be sure before you move forward and like have a plan and think about it for a long time and then, you know, execute the plan. But yeah, it's a lot to think about. So, have
you gotten any lasering done?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, let's talk about lasering. Okay,
lasering. So,
yeah,
it's pretty awesome. I wish it was easier and worked better. It doesn't. Unfortunately, I've encountered situations where it's like tattoos can be very resistant, which I didn't think was really a thing, and not just like the different color spectrum, because I know that's an issue as well, obviously, but like even black ink, which is typically the easiest to remove, if it's sufficiently scarred into the skin, I think it has to do with the scar tissue, I think, prevents the laser from penetrating adequately or something. But for whatever reason, my friend was getting a piece lasered. I think she must have gone a dozen times and it lightened, but it was maybe like half what it was. She ended up getting a cover up that was so fairly like black line cover up, but it looked beautiful. So it was
but still it is crazy. Like the skin, I've lasered from my elbows down to my knuckles.
Wow, good for you.
A bunch. Well, it was so the story went like about 6 months before Guy introduced me to his first laser tech. I was thinking to myself, I know if I keep on this path, I'll eventually find a laser person, and I could lighten up my. And I had some black and gray. It was professional, but they were Albright Dürer woodcuts, right? So it was like I just had to get the angels off of me. You know, first I put my Catholic school on my skin, and then I had to burn it off of me. Anyways, but before I burned it off of me, I'm like, I got impatient. And so I had it all colored in really awesome. So then, and then when the artist colored it in, like he relined it, reshaded it, and then packed the fuck out of all the color. And then 6 months later, guys like, hey, if you ever want to get lasered, here's my laser tech. And I'm like, oh, now I got all these color angels. But eventually I did laser it all. And it's, after like 6 or 7 times of lasering the arm, and it was a full sleeve all the way around, Guy was like, stop lasering. It's probably going to affect the consistency of your skin at this point. And
it's still some damage, I think, that it's inflicting. I mean, it's, there's no perfect way, other than doing it right the first time, I guess.
Right. Well, to your point, like before, it's like, tattooing is one of these amazing spaces or arts where we're like striving for perfection in an imperfect medium.
Exactly.
And but so everyone like has to
and it's aging all the time too, and
completely
getting sun damage and everything else. So this is Kim. So she has the other piece as well. So this is the new piece.
Oh, okay. So this is the ribs. The other yeah, cool.
And it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Kim.
Happy birthday, Kim. Yeah, these are cool. Clearly I love all the birds. I've
thanks.
Got a fair amount of bird tattoos. Yeah. So cool. So was this one session, or did you do this in multiple sessions?
No, this is also multiple sessions. I think that we did. I think this is 2 on the top, on the bird and the branch, and then this is the first session on the feathers.
Okay. So these are all healed, and this is new.
I think I went over all of this. I did all of it in one go.
Yeah, kind of. Oh, yeah, cool. And how do your clients find you online, in person? I mean, imagine you've been tattooing 20 years, so it's a lot of referrals, or
A lot of referrals. I mean, moving back here definitely slowed down the local referrals, obviously. So, but luckily I had people willing to travel and still do from Virginia, which I of course really appreciate. And then from all over too. So, I mean, the internet has definitely been a real game changer as far as, you know, your reach as an artist.
Although Buffalo has always had some pretty awesome artists there, huh? I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
being there like 20 years ago, and Corey Cudney was there, and
Yep. Amanda Walkup is from here.
Amanda. Oh yeah, she's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting scene. Buffalo is a little bit of a bubble as far as like that type of experimentation, because it didn't really have a heavy tattoo scene that was sort of I don't know, gatekeeping or whatever, like the style, like sort of style policing it or whatever. Like Virginia is a really interesting city because it's always had, it was one of the first cities to have a tattoo convention. Like one of the main tattoo conventions was there.
Right. Sure.
So it has a pretty sophisticated audience of tattoo collectors. So people had a very broad concept of what was possible there. I mean, this is way before the internet, obviously.
Yeah.
But there also was a very long-standing traditional tattoo community there that was a lot more entrenched, and everyone looked up to them. They were like, you know, the mentors and everything, and that kind of kept things from I mean, there was definitely a lot of you know, negative
Clicky kind of
feelings about like other like I definitely was kind of a, you know, an outsider for most people there. So, but of course now it's changing everywhere. But like, yeah, Buffalo was different because you had people like Corey doing no outline color stuff, you know, doing white first and like going backwards from, you know, breaking all the rules, like whatever.
Sure.
From pretty early on. Yeah. So it's an interesting place here. It's different.
Yeah, I like there's a somewhat anarchy. I mean, I don't know if it's anarchy, but there's definitely like Buffalo's got this really unique set of energies where it's like people are just going to do it, you know, and
yeah,
it's like it's not quite 50, but like it's still kind of wholesome again, not wholesome, but like their friendliness. I don't know. There's like this real. It's like this very familiar friendliness matched with, again, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to do it. Who's going to stop me? We're Buffalo.
That is definitely the vibe here. I mean, I love that the character of the city is something that actually I always missed, because it is like, it is very like, you got to do everything yourself. There's no one's going to do anything for you here. Like, so any scene stuff is generated, you know, I mean, which is true, I guess, anywhere, but like you can't like kind of fall back on like, oh, someone else is going to put a show on. Like you have to do it yourself. And like, if you want to see something, you have to make it. And then we have those like long winters where everybody's kind of, you know, holed up in their apartments going crazy, making weird art to get through it. And I think it's always had an interesting art scene, which I assume is some kind of outgrowth from New York City people heading this way, maybe, at least like, because we had some really good institutions like University of Buffalo and even Buff State. There's some really great art programs here. And particularly like, I don't know, I would say like independent, like weirder, like outsider-y art. Like we had a really strong like Cindy Sherman like co-founded a gallery here, like, and Hall Walls is a really interesting like alternative institution. Like there's always been a really strong like gay community here, and like it's just a unique like embracing of like the individual kind of city. So I think that probably influenced everything about the culture here. And then also people are just kind of friendly. I mean, I think that they're really happy to see anybody, especially people who come here like to get tattooed by me, for example. Like they always tell me how easy it is for them to talk to people. Like they're just out at a bar and making friends like immediately. Because I think probably people are just like, where did you come from? Why are you here?
Yeah, right, sure. And then and again, like there's a shit ton of tattoos, a shit ton of tattooers. Like people seem to, you know, have embraced that part of it. It's cool. So let's shift into the next topic. Apprentices, apprenticeships, learning to tattoo. I think we skipped that part of your story maybe. So
Yeah, we I think we glossed over that. No, I never got an apprenticeship,
yeah.
unfortunately.
So you
At
went
the
to
time,
just, like tattooing out of your house, go straight to like a shop that just took you in, or?
no, yeah, it took me a long time, and I would say I wasn't even really professional till like I think '99. I got licensed,
Okay.
so it was a
4 years.
long time of like just kind of, you know, trying to figure it out on my own. Like I was in high school when I started, so I was like basically tattooing my friends.
Sure. You know, it's everyone has to pay off their. You're building up that karma you had to pay off, right?
Right. No, there's
just have to cover it all up.
Free way in. It's like, and obviously there was a lot. I mean, I'm sure apprenticeships are very hard, and probably it should be in a way. But I mean, no matter what you do, it's pretty hard because like that. I mean, I was reinventing the wheel,
right?
You know, with a lot of it, just not knowing what the hell I was doing. I mean,
I have to say, having watched a half a dozen successful apprenticeships, at the shops that I've been part of, if you have a supportive crew and a set of supportive artists, you could. I mean, there was an apprentice that learned 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And that was it. Doing the same type of tattoo. They weren't doing everything that walked through the door. They're doing like black worky tattoos.
Right.
And I was like, that's fucking crazy. You could literally learn how to tattoo 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Fucking crazy world.
I know. To be honest, I'm definitely kind of jealous of like people who are coming up now compared to like when I was, because I mean, while I guess it was like a completely open field then, like where it can feel a little overwhelming now, I feel like, where everything is kind of being done and like it's hard to think of like things that are different to do.
Yeah. The floodgates are wide open.
There's also a little bit of a double-edged sword with the internet where like if you were to innovate something and put it out there, it's going to be a trend in a second if it's popular. You can kind of get buried in that without getting like sufficient credit for it or whatever. But
and then somebody else is the sticker person. You're like, no, you're not the sticker person. I was a sticker person. And there's like a person next door. He's like, wait, I think I did that first.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that works. But there's just so many more resources now, and there's no shortage of inspiration, and definitely like the inclusivity of everything, and people being able to fall into whatever they're comfortable with is awesome. And I love the idea of like, oh, if I could have just started tattooing, doing what I wanted to do in the first place, instead of like slogging through years of Flash and stuff that not even, I don't know, there's obviously some value to that, but I don't know if it's 100% artistic value.
Well, like, it's like the intention, right? Like, so that, and like, if you have a mentor, I mean, well, it depends on how long too, right? So if you're doing it for fucking years and years and years and years, when you only have to really do it for 2, because oh shit, I forgot what I was gonna say about that, but So just to wrap it up, do you have any advice that you would be able to pass along to people that are looking to land apprenticeships?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get an apprenticeship, and it's hard to give advice about that because it's an individual discovery process, and you basically have to either know someone or appeal to someone, and that's such an individual choice. I couldn't speak for anybody else, but in general, I would say that what I think would be the most valuable thing to do would be to do art all the time, have a really, really strong art portfolio that has a lot of the fundamentals of like drawing, drafting, draftsmanship, painting is good. Just like draw all the time, have a sketchbook with you all the time. The same thing that I would say for someone who wanted to get into illustration. And I was lucky enough to get some illustration education as well. And like working illustrators and working tattooers are in this very similar field. So you want to be able to make, it's about the impact of your image making, your mark making. You want confidence in your lines, you want confidence in your composition, and that can only come from like practice. And don't be like, you have to be a perfectionist ultimately, but you don't want that to inhibit growth. You have to be able to make mistakes. And the best way to do that is to just do more, and like, don't be too precious with each piece. Like, let things be experiments, let things develop. The way that stuff works is like you end up looking back you know, you might have something in your head that you want to realize that you can't achieve or whatever, but like sometimes the process is more interesting and you end up with something that you couldn't even have conceived of that's actually better than whatever you imagined. And then wherever you get to, you end up looking back and realizing how far you've come, which is kind of, you know, also something you can't really anticipate. Yeah. But definitely don't give up. Don't take no for an answer.
No. Would you ever apprentice somebody? Would you ever be somebody's mentor?
I am reluctant myself because, I mean, really largely because I was never mentored. So it's kind of hard to imagine how you would do that appropriately without having had that experience. So because no one's ever explained to me exactly what they do, it's a little bit harder for me to explain what I'm doing because so much of it's intuitive. And it's therefore harder to, like, what are the rules? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just,
well, you know, I'm not sure that there's any crew of people that learned how to properly apprentice people so that they could properly apprentice someone else. I think everyone might just be making this shit up as they go.
And I know that they are, it's true, but I guess I just feel like I wouldn't feel like that was responsible or something. I don't know. Sure. I mean, not that I wouldn't, it would take the right combination of things, I guess, you know. I
mean, and that's a great answer. I mean, obviously it's a long commitment, you know. Where's your motivation to teach somebody else to tattoo if, you know, they're just gonna work at some other shop, or if you don't own a shop? Well, I mean, some people just do it for their friends, or
yeah, I probably would be more likely to, you know, want to do it with someone I already had a personal relationship with, but that's not exclusively true. I don't know. It's funny that you say that though, because like I don't think I've ever seen an apprenticeship situation turn out well in a way. Not that the apprentice didn't turn out to be an amazing artist,
sure,
or whatever, but like I'm pretty sure every apprenticeship I ever saw ended in some kind of heartbreak.
We have to do the video. I could be on either end of it, but the line that's like, Gabe, I will always appreciate the opportunity that you gave me and the 3 days that I worked here before I'm leaving. I'm like, you're literally quitting after 3 fucking days. Like, don't tell them you're going to appreciate this for the rest of your life. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, that's literally, but to your point, it does feel, I mean, I definitely observe a lot of different stories. So there are some that seem to work, but to your point, it's pretty tricky. And I mean, and I think at some level, I think everybody that enters those relationships understands that, you know, whatever.
I think it's hard because you have to let the person outgrow you and the situation. And
sure.
That's probably the same thing like being a parent or something. You have to let them go at some point. Yeah, right.
Well, I let my daughter go. But it's also like I mean, there's also just a level of maturity sometimes, right? And I mean, I've watched apprentices that are 17 and 18 and ones that are like 40, you know? Yeah. And, you know, the 40-year-olds might, you know, have a more rigid framework, but they also have a lot more life experience, you know?
And they probably appreciate it a lot too, because it's a huge, you know, I think when you're younger, you don't have the sense of like context for, you know, how things play out. You know, you have a lot of anticipation for how things are going to go, but you're not like, you know, once you've lived that long, you're kind of like, okay. I mean, it's daunting, sure. I'm sure, though, to start over in a way, and like you have to start at zero.
I remember one of the apprentices was leaving and literally going like a half a block down the street, and you know, I got it that they were pissed at me, but like the tattooer mentor was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, literally, like, there's like, just go to one town over, even. Like, really, you're gonna go to the closest shop that could possibly exist? You have to drive from your town to this town, anyways." And again, part of it's like, you know, everyone's got their own story, but you know,
that could be one for the drunk thing.
Oh yeah, no, I don't even. That's not even. I mean, it's not even that much of a story. I'm just thinking of like you know, you're obviously a great personality, great energies. It would be, you know, not that I ever want to encourage anybody to bring more tattooers into the world, but those tattooers are coming in anyways, and if they can get guidance from somebody like you, then you know that's better than not.
Yeah, I guess I like to be available for people, you know, like if people have questions and stuff, like I like to try to help people out for sure. It's just the responsibility of taking on someone, you know, that you're basically putting your name to, like, I'm going to take you under my wing. You're my, you know, I'm going to mentor you. It's just, it feels a little, I don't know.
Well, it is. Like it is daunting. It is a lot.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Let's see what else we got here. How about some travel advice? So, right now, right now, clearly, we've been, not traveling shit tons for the last 2 years,
Right.
but before then, do you have any particular advice or travel tips for tattooers or clients?
I really like to travel. I don't get to do it. Well, even before COVID, I didn't get to do it as much as I would like to. But it's wonderful to work at other shops and work with other people and just learn as much as you can from everybody that you're around and just see the way other people do things, see how they run their shops, experience different places and different people. That's an invaluable experience.
Yeah. What are some of the places that you've gone to, and are there any places you still want to go?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, maybe my favorite place is Barcelona. I'd really like to go to work in Barcelona. If anybody has a shop and want to do a guest spot, I would really like to do that. I've never worked out of the country though. I would like to branch out a bit more and be able to work overseas. I really like to go to Marcus's shop, Fox and Spider in Florida. That's one of my favorite places to work. I really like to.
Oh yeah, that's cool. He's right near the Dali Museum too, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No, yeah, it's awesome. Like I really like that area.
And he's a pretty sick tattooer too.
He's an awesome tattooer. Yeah, he's really inspiring. And I used to love to go visit Amanda in New York, and now she's in LA, so hopefully I'll get to go visit her out there.
Awesome.
Check out LA. I've never actually been there, so it'll be really cool to check out.
I've always had a surprising good time there, right? I mean, the farther north I get into California, the more I like it. San Francisco is more computer geeky, and Northern California is all weed. But when I was in LA, it was like it's weird because people can like kind of sniff out authenticity, and they're like, wait, you're like a real person who like says what you think. That's weird.
Yeah.
My favorite was, I mean, you know me, I'm definitely wicked hippie kind of and stylish, I guess, but all these really, decked out, nose hair picked, pruned, very well pruned and groomed LA people would be like, how did you get in here with flip flops? And I'm like, you realize that whole like gated thing is just all bullshit, right? Like, I mean, it's a bar, it's a club, like, but LA is pretty good. Like I said, it's pretty fun, and that'd definitely be cool to get out there.
A lot of cool culture out there, I think. So it'll be interesting to see all that. A lot of good art.
It's like the entertainment business, right? So we like to be entertained, but it is entertainment business. So it's like this, like,
yeah, that's somewhat. Well, I gotta go see it for myself for sure. I mean, and then I love doing Paradise. That was my favorite show, so I'm excited that that's going to come back.
I'm so excited to get back to Jiminy Peak. And when we started at started this year's event, it was only 100 people, in a room with masks. And then it started to open up. Like over the summer, there was like this glimmer of hope. It was like, wow, somehow America got its shit together and we're all getting vaccinated. Well, the rest, we want to kill each other, but we got vaccinated. And then all of a sudden it's like, no. But to the point, we planned the event to be, based on teaching, and discussion panels and all that. So, and webcasting. So the whole thing's being webcast. If people don't want to come, they could just webcast. And I guess this might be a good time to shift. Talk about your seminar a little bit. Speaking of teaching people.
Right. So I think it was really prescient of you to have it be sort of web-based as a plan, hopefully be able to have more, but it's cool that it's all going to be streaming. So yeah, so the class is going to be about mixed media, which is my main thing, I would include tattooing within that. But I like to translate mixed media artwork into tattooing and like explore how that does translate. So I'm going to talk about my process. I'm going to demonstrate an example of my process, and I guess try to go over as many different types of mediums as I can kind of easily do in one sitting, which will not include digital. I will include digital in terms of discussing how you can then take your final image and translate that through digital, like so you can break down your stencils and your parts, stuff like that. But this is going to focus on physical media and the creation of physical artwork, independent of the digital process. So yeah, so it'll be fun and interesting. I like to do stuff live, and
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm wicked excited.
I was
People
gonna say,
been asking about
it. I'm gonna try to do a time lapse either today or tomorrow. That's gonna be a little bit of a demo too. So it's like kind of
awesome.
a taste of the thing. So yeah.
Perfect. I'm going to close out the show. I've got one of the other time lapses that you sent over to me. So after we close out the show, maybe I'll have maybe one or two more questions, and then I've got like I said, it's like 5 minutes. One of the birds, maybe from the virtual gathering, or I don't know, it's one of them. You do a lot of the time lapses, and are you on the TikTok and the Reels and all that, or?
I am now on the TikTok. I guess Reels. Yeah, I'm trying to do everything on Instagram mostly, but I do have a TikTok. I have like 20 followers. I've just started doing it. And I mean, the cool thing about TikTok is that it's not a job yet. I'm just kind of having more fun with it. So it's not all artwork. I think I only have a couple of pieces that are like tattooing or time-lapse artwork, but so I can still put like silly animal videos up. I'm not going to do anything. No, if anybody wants to see that, they're out of luck. So
wait, you're not going to do what? Sorry.
No dancing, no talking. That's not me. But there will be animals.
Awesome. It is fun. Like the digital editing tools that they have on those phones, almost can get me into it. But
yeah, I have gotten that's been what's gotten me into the editing, is being able to do it all on my phone, because I have some of those capabilities on the desktop, and obviously that's for professionals and sophisticated, but like. Sure. It's too much of a production, like getting into learning the programs, and like mobile is just so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, even just the process.
It's just basic what I'm doing anyway. Like if I'm doing, usually my time lapses are just watercolor painting, so it's a pretty simple tripod point and shoot, and then the editing is just basically speeding it up.
Awesome. I don't know if you do voiceovers for them, but one of the things about here's an experiment you should do, and I'm pretty sure you could probably do it with your phone editing. If you make like the 2-minute clip, and then put a 2 minutes of audio of you telling the story about it, my guess is that people are actually going to watch more of it instead of just skipping to the end. And but also that audio, like whenever I'm listening to a video that doesn't have some sort of audio story, like even just, music is better than nothing, but like, again, hey, this client came in and, or I guess if it's an artwork. So for this piece of artwork, I was inspired by, the bird that was outside of my window.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
I'm sure you're right.
Like,
I'm sure you're right. I think people do respond more, just like people, TikTok is mostly people talking into their camera, and I think that's what people respond to, is that like, personal connection. But I'm not real comfortable usually with that. Like I'm good with like this type of thing, like casual conversation, or even, teaching is fine. But like, it just feels weird to like, I would talk to people in real life, but I don't feel like, it doesn't feel right talking into a camera about, and I also I don't know what to talk about. I'm like, I'm painting this leaf now.
Yeah, sure.
But I do music. I like stuff to be, cool. I think I'm a little more into like, music video type production, where it's just the audio is that, it's more all of an artistic environment rather than like, to me, so a lot of like the voiceover dialogue takes you out of it in a way.
Okay, yeah, I can see that too. And I mean, and certainly at the end of the day, always the artwork should really speak for itself. Like all of the videos, the marketing. No, I know, like just. I mean, and I found it with some of my own, my own videos, right? So I would do a lot of, some teasers, and I could just try to. I'd be at 1 o'clock in the morning, I just finish it up and let it be done. But then if I did the next one and I just said, hey, and again, I'm doing mostly. Well, there's content stuff too. Well, again, whatever it is, just should be engaging, and I'm sure it is. I don't mean to give you unsolicited critique when I haven't looked at the videos.
No, I appreciate it. And I think probably for most people to keep that in mind, I think that people want to connect with a person. I mean, that's the reason why like bands always have a front person, and nobody cares about the DJ. But
right, exactly.
I do.
Fun. Oh, speaking of DJs, so I got 2 more questions here. One is, Do you have any like what music do you like to listen to or do you put on for your clients? And maybe in particular, I have this long form music channel on the Tattoo Now YouTube.
Oh,
So
cool.
I
I
had
know.
like concerts and stuff. But anyway, so what do you have for music tips?
I mostly listen to electronic music, although I
Hmm.
do like a lot of different stuff. I like usually like kind of more obscure stuff.
Yeah, let's hear it.
But when I'm working, I definitely like stuff that's instrumental. That's sort of my go-to is like I prefer stuff without vocals
Yeah,
usually.
sure.
Um,
Do you have any particular titles or bands or people or composers?
uh, yeah, I like stuff that, it's not surprising that a lot of the music that I like is sort of audio collage style.
Uh-huh.
Like I like stuff that has a lot of different layers and textures in it.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
cool.
like I really like God, it's tough. It's tough. Like I think lately I've been listening to stuff that's a little bit more like sort of hip hop sample influence. Like I really like
Uh-huh.
Arca and I really like Dim
Oh,
Light.
that dim lights.
Dim Light, Dimlite, and Arca, Arca. Yeah, listen to a lot of them,
Oh,
and then, I love like Negative Land. That's a little bit more conceptual, a little bit less like background music, more like you have to actually pay attention to their work. But
oh,
I would say that's one of the most interesting bands,
awesome.
conceptual artists, musicians that I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
sort
cool.
of, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so do you have anything? Oh, let's see. I got a comment in here from Kyle, who is an apprentice hopeful, trying to learn to be social again. it's uh, it's a tough one. So
Yeah.
he's an apprentice hopeful out in Los Angeles. Actually, speaking of Los Angeles,
All right. It's probably a good place to
it's
be.
a pretty good place to be. Let's see.
Yeah.
Melissa Sink also says hello. She can hear
Oh,
us just perfectly.
nice.
Cool. So, yeah, do you want to maybe wrap up any last
Yeah.
thoughts before I fire off this video?
Yeah, I mean, hoping that the people are able to attend the Paradise BYOB. I'm pretty excited about it. And hope people enjoy the seminar who are able to take it. And, that this is informative and entertaining somewhat.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And so let's see. So it's paradisebyob.com to register for the in-person seminar. And then if you go to courses.reinventingthetattoo.com, then you might have to click a link or two, but then boom, you can get the online webinar version. And if you find, I think the links are on your Facebooks, but do you update your website? Are you gonna be able to get the link on your website?
It's funny that you say that. I'm making a new website. So
Awesome.
hopefully I'll have that done by the end of the month. I'm switching over to Squarespace template because my old one is WordPress and it's a little and it's
You know,
it's kind of a heavy duty site because it was all connected to the gallery, which now isn't active. So I want to keep it up as like an archive and
cool.
maybe have the blog, but I want to try to finally separate my portfolio onto my own thing so that it's easy for me to update. And so
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
it'll still be
Cool.
the same. It'll still be theaduskin.com, but I will definitely be trying to put like the links and everything up on there.
Sweet. Cool. Well, hey, thanks again. This was fun. I was
Thanks.
very happy when you said yes a couple of weeks ago. And I want to thank you for the tattoo that you did on my daughter. She loves it. And
I'm so
it's
happy.
definitely a hit. It really is amazing how I remember when I was first getting tattooed and hanging out at the tattoo shop, after like 2 or 3 years of hanging out at the shop, I'd see everybody get puffed up after they got their tattoos and they think they're tougher or whatever. I'm like, you're the same person, like beauty's only skin deep, right? Like, what the fuck? You're not any better because you got a tattoo. And then I'm like, oh, I feel a little bit better now that I got a tattoo.
Yeah.
And then like 4 or 5 years after that, I realized, wait, first they puffed up, they thought that the tattoo made them a better person, but then they became a better person.
Well, that's
And
cool.
so like the effect that, and you can imagine like the effect of somebody complimenting, you 2 or 3 times a day,
Sure.
just ultimately makes you more polite and happy because people keep complimenting you. Anyways, she's very happy. She gets a lot of compliments.
I'm so
And
happy to hear that. It was really
yeah,
I love that.
awesome.
She's great too. I hope she loves college.
She so far so good. And
Cool.
she speaks teacher fluently. So Awesome. Well, let me figure out how to. Oh, I'm going to feature myself here. I'm going to mute you. So you could hop off if you want to.
Okay.
Anybody that is still on, yeah, I'm gonna play a video here for Thea.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thank you. Okay, and here we go. Thea Duskin is an internationally exhibited mixed media artist who has been tattooing for over 20 years. She specializes in the adaptation of painterly styles of botanical illustration to tattooing. She ran Ghost Print Gallery, a fine art gallery and a tattoo studio in Richmond, Virginia, until 2015 when she relocated to Buffalo, New York, and is currently a resident there at the Parlor of Buffalo. You could find her complete portfolio at theaduskin.com. We are very excited to have her teaching a class at the Paradise BYOB on mixed media and how it adapts to tattooing. Modern tattoo composition is becoming heavily reliant upon the digital processes using Procreate. Now, while extremely useful and efficient, this approach can result in a stiff or recognizably computer-generated appearance. Reference imagery and mark making is far more limited by this method. Thea's intention is to demonstrate the value in developing work organically, allowing for more imagination and the artist's hand to be seen in the work. This does not preclude the use of digital tools, especially to assist in the final stages of adaptation to tattooing. While you may not have time to create a masterpiece for each project, this practice will foster the development of a more personal style. You can selectively develop signature pieces that will help you differentiate your voice, as well as accumulate a physical body of work. In this seminar, Thea will demonstrate various techniques and media that she uses to layer and to create a composition. The media will include watercolor, ink, acrylic, paper collage. Application will range from drawing and painting to printing processes. Illustration board will be the surface material. How physical media compares to digital collage and can be used in tandem with Procreate will be covered in this presentation, including translating pieces into a single image and adapting layers for tattoo stencils. As soon as you purchase the webinar, you will get the materials list, and yeah, so click on the buttons and do the things. This is going to be a very fun webinar. If you catch it live,